Thanks a lot for both visiting Bonsaso, Ghana, and also mentioning Jeff Tabin. I just have to say a word about this fellow. He's one of the world's great ophthalmologists and professor at the University of Utah. He's also one of the world's great mountain climbers. He's climbed the highest peaks on all the continents. He also claims, I'm sure it's right, to have invented bungee jumping. When he was a college student in England and the bungee cable company was there, and they stole a bungee cord from this company and jumped off a bridge where he was studying, and he survived to tell about it and invented a new sport. He's also a genius in eye care, and while he was in the Himalayas, and there's a huge amount of blindness in the high Himalayas, he worked out systems for this mass screening of communities and then mass surgeries for cataracts. They each take 3 minutes to perform the cataract operation, and it costs $14 per operation. It's unbelievable. And he comes into a village, and thank you for joining him on this, and you screen thousands of people, do hundreds of operations, prescribe hundreds of ready-made lenses, $1 a lens now, made in China, diopters pre-prepared, screen, and then within a week, a whole village is restored to sight at unbelievably low cost. And now he's setting up training centers. We're helping him in Ethiopia and in Ghana and other places so that this can be generalized. The main point in the end of poverty was that that kind of solution is characteristic of our time on so many different fronts. Low cost, brilliant technologies, absolutely powerful to be able to change the lives of impoverished people, help make them productive so that they can climb the way out of the poverty trap. And when I headed projects for Gro Brundtland at the World Health Organization, then Kofi Annan, and now Ban Ki-moon, I spend my time talking to interesting people who have ideas like Jeff Tabin, and not just ideas, they've proven them. And what we have shown in these Millennium Villages is if you put together what can be done in agriculture, in primary health, which includes control of several tropical parasitic diseases, soil-transmitted helminths, and schisto, and onchocerciasis, and trypanosomiasis, and lymphatic filariasis, and trachoma, malaria control, and many other things. Safe childbirth, neonatal care, you can drop the death rates down dramatically within 2 or 3 years. We've got malaria down by more than 90% in these villages through bed nets and community health workers with the medicines that cure the disease. Each case, it comes back, but you cure it each time when it hits. Schooling, basic infrastructure, and so on. So the Millennium Villages, they're really working in that, showing at low cost, these highly effective interventions can do a tremendous amount of good. If I were to change this, or bring it up to date from where I was 4 years ago, I guess I would note 3 things. First, the frightening thing that we're seeing that can potentially overpower all of this is climate change, and especially water. Water is the least controllable part of the lives of these people because this is all rain-fed agriculture. We get 4 out of 5 terrific seasons because we're helping with improved agriculture, but then the drought in the 5th year can be devastating. And so water is the least controllable part of this, and I fear that it's the part that is going to get out of our hands. That's number one. Second, the biggest positive change, which I would put pretty much equal to any of the outstanding technologies, certainly on par with vaccination, with all the things I love, is the mobile telephone. This, when I wrote in 2005, there were no phones in any of these villages. Obviously no fixed line, but also no mobile. Now mobile phones are everywhere. Not every household owns them, but every village is covered. And you can always find someone with a phone. And to my mind, this is the biggest breakthrough that I've seen, biggest single breakthrough in development. And the marvelous thing about these phones is that you can sell the phone itself for the bare bones, sometimes secondhand, is very cheap. And you can sell seconds of coverage. You can, and the companies have, so markets have taken it to the poorest of the poor. This is maybe not the poorest of the poor, but they've taken it into these poor villages. This is a huge breakthrough compared to 4 years ago. And now with 3G coming in Africa, we're getting mobile broadband to the remote areas of Africa. So internet's coming in, computers in schools. It's absolutely thrilling, and it's part of the same basic idea that technology is so powerful right now, it can provide a phenomenal lift. The third point that I would raise is that in 2005, when I wrote that book, pledges were made of a significant increase of development assistance. Those have not materialized. I don't know whether they ever will materialize. The things that I believe we need to do are not free. They're very low cost, but they're not free. And so we're more trapped than we were 4 years ago, not in the power of the interventions, the demonstration, the ability to do things, but I would say not in our villages, which are moving forward, but the general situation today is worse than it was 4 years ago, except for the cell phone aspect, because there is so much dislocation. Energy prices have gone up, and even though they came down from 150 per gallon, they're still at 60, which is twice what it was 5 years ago. Food prices are higher for basically the same reasons. And while the problems of people living in extreme deprivation are utterly solvable, and I see for 500,000 people these problems being addressed, I don't know whether this world is hanging together enough to, for us to understand that for less than 1% of our income pooled with others, this kind of poverty and instability could be ended. We're not doing that. We've done $4 trillion of bailouts, but so far not an extra penny for poor people. And this is a big problem.